Lyndon Johnson, in his 1965 inaugural address, outlined the articles of what he called the American Covenant. He claimed these articles originated with the Puritans, saying, "They came here, the exile and the stranger, brave but frightened, to find a place where a man could be his own man. They made a covenant with this land, conceived in justice, written in liberty, bound in union. It was meant one day to inspire the hopes of all mankind, and it binds us still. If we keep its terms, we shall flourish." The biblical understanding of covenant was foremost in the minds of the Puritans as they set sail for America. George Marsden writes, "The covenant doctrine was emphasized primarily because it was discovered to be a central biblical concept. In fact, Exodus 19:5 says, 'Now therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my treasured possession among all the peoples, for all the earth is mine.'" Marsden also observes that covenant became popular in the 16th and 17th centuries because of the appeal of contractualism to the spirit of the age, and because of its usefulness in explaining man's responsibilities to a sovereign God. Covenant was not merely a term to these early Americans, it was a living, breathing reality. In Hebrew, the berith, or covenant, has some uncertain origins, but ultimately it's a binding, often intimate agreement between two parties. God is a covenant-making God, and in each biblical covenant, Adamic, Abrahamic, Noahic, Mosaic, God intended a calling often out of one land and into another. And he fulfilled his promises to bless his people and make them into a great nation. For their part of the covenant, the people were called to keep his word in faithful obedience. The Puritans and other 17th century English Christians had seen covenants broken by their leaders, and they longed for biblical government. When Charles I broke his covenant with the English people, embracing divine right and refusing to call Parliament into session, the Puritans came to understand that God was calling them to something better. John Winthrop's voyage to America on the Arabella brought forth the document that clarified the Puritans' vision of covenantal government. In his model of Christian charity, Winthrop declares, "We are entered into covenant with him for this work. We have taken out a commission. The Lord hath given us leave to draw our own articles." Winthrop even refers to their covenant deeply as the more near bond of marriage between him and us. God loved the Puritans, and he would, as Winthrop wrote, delight to dwell among them as his own people and command a blessing on them in all their ways. The Puritans also understood, though, that when God called them, as in Scripture, their obedience was expected. Winthrop goes on to write, "But if we shall neglect the observation of these articles, which are the ends we have propounded, and dissembling with our God, shall fail to embrace this present world, the Lord will surely break out in wrath against us and make us know the price of the breach of such a covenant." The importance of the Puritans' understanding of covenant in the founding of America cannot be understated. This nation began with a stated covenant, an understanding that if we obey God, he will bless us and reward our obedience. If we disobey him, we will bear the consequences of this breach of covenant. President Johnson, hundreds of years after the Puritans, reminded the American people of this powerful truth when he said, "Under this covenant of justice, liberty, and union, we have become a nation, prosperous, great, and mighty, and we have kept our freedom. But we have no promise from God that our greatness will endure. If we succeed, it will not be because of what we have, but it will be because of what we are. Not because of what we own, but rather because of what we believe."